Mindfulness. Is it really an anytime, anywhere, no cost vacation for employees? Stay tuned. We're going to find out. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Humanistic Resources Show. I'm Denise O'Malley, your host and the founder of You Define Wellness, and I'm delighted to have you here with us today. We're going to be talking about mindfulness. And if you're a fan of mindfulness, you're sitting back going, yay, this is great, I can't wait. If you've heard about it and you're not really sure what it all means, hopefully we're going to be answering those questions for you today. Today, I have for you a very special guest, Anna Nieto. Sorry, I always want to make sure I'm getting people's names right. So let me say that again, Anna Nieto. And she is the owner of the Mindful Online Gym. And Anna, thank you very much for coming here today and joining with me on this.
Thank you for having me. You said my name perfectly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I never want to show my own flubs, but hey, we're human and this is life, right? So you suggested this really cool topic of mindfulness, the anytime, anywhere, no cost vacation for employees. But before we jump into that, let's learn a little bit about you and what makes you an expert on mindfulness.
What makes me an expert on mindfulness? Well, that's a great question. I have been practicing it for more than 20 years now and teaching it to my clients. I feel like mindfulness is such an integral part of our life and our lifestyle. And like you said before, right, sometimes it can be a little, I think everybody has heard about mindfulness, but a lot of people perhaps have this concept of having to quiet your mind completely, right, and achieving that state. And I feel like sometimes we confuse that with just having more consciousness, being more in tune with yourself, with the rhythms of your body, with your intuition or sixth sense, and just being in tune with that throughout your day, right? As opposed to just like sitting down in meditation in like a very uncomfortable posture for many hours without being able to talk or anything else. And I believe that mindfulness is really what we want to do throughout our life continuously. So it's not just the times that you spend sitting down or doing yoga or whatever your mindfulness practice is, but how can we translate that, incorporate it, integrate it in our body, embody it, so we are actually be meditating while we are living constantly, either if you're cooking, talking to somebody, working, in any single moment of your life. That's really what I believe is the best definition, what I've liked to talk to clients that work with me about, and what I want to integrate in my life, as well as the experience of life in that way, in a much more conscious and mindful way. So that's what mindfulness is to me, and I think it's, again, sometimes a very like practical way to see it when you're a little lost in a space, about the concept. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think it's overwhelming for some people, and for HR professionals that I have met with, they've heard about it. Maybe they've seen it on other people's posts or LinkedIn, that somewhere along the line they read something about it, but they may not necessarily understand it. And they certainly don't know how to implement it. Does it take special training?
Well, yes. I mean, I think more than training is practice, right? Like, I think we can all practice it and make sure that we have that learnings by ourselves, because ultimately it's your own practice. Yes, it's good to have coaches, it's good to have mentors, and definitely they are going to facilitate a process when you can go deeper, where you can understand it, when you can actually figure out what is the why of getting into the practice yourself, right? In order to actually make it more sustainable. I always think that that's the way, either on my practice as a personal trainer or helping people with nutrition or mindfulness, is always about that, about trying to make it your ritual, and in essence, a part of your life that becomes a habit, that just becomes kind of natural to do it. So it's always good to have somebody that can guide you, but it's always good to also listen to how you want to do this and what are the best times, what are the best ways, perhaps what are even the best places that you are able to go deep within and practice it on your own. I have taught people during exercise to make it almost like a meditation in movement. And I think once the person, the trainee, achieves that level of knowledge of the exercises as well as the connection with their body, it can be that, right? So sometimes it's just a way of like fine tuning. Okay, where do I want to practice this? Do I want to do it when I'm in movement? Do I want to do it when I'm doing some other activities? And then the other piece that I think is important, apart from being in connection with yourself and with that quiet part, is your being very aware of the surroundings around you and the air and the energy that you actually create as you speak, as you move, as you work with people, as you interact, as you get triggered, maybe talk to others. So just being very aware of that, like energetically, what is happening in your body with external stimulus, because it's very easy to be very mindful or very conscious when we are by ourselves, right? But it's really when we interact with others and in the day-to-day activities that we get the tests of really telling us, okay, is this helping me to perhaps not overreact as much, right? Because it's never the situation, but how we react to it. So if that's what you're looking for, does this help you to go back and stop for a second before you actually have a reaction, so you can make a more conscious, mindful decision on any particular subject? So I think you were asking me about learning it and practicing it, and I went also into the practicality of it, because I think those pieces are always very important when you integrate it, right?
So learning, practicing, practicality. So let's talk about learning first. Let's first step. So how does one go about learning a mindfulness practice? How do they figure out what that should include?
Yeah, so I have been talking lately throughout my newsletters and communications to my clients and on social media as well, actually, about rituals and practices that I have integrated in my life and that I think work well, and that I've talked and taught other clients to also integrate for themselves, and how that affects, the rest of your life, and how you feel about yourself, which is the key. It's like a lot of people, and including myself, I used to come from a place where sadness and a little bit of drama and depression, ran in my family. And meditation really helped me to shift that from being more joyful, more possible, purposely driven, waking up in the morning and feeling, like the day is going to be amazing and abundant, and just move through life in a very different way. So you start by figuring out what are the times during the day and what are the perhaps rituals or moments on the day that you need to have those breaks. So for me, for example, the morning works really well, where I like to get up, just sit down in meditation for, I started with 10 minutes, 20, now I'm doing 40. And it's just about really silencing your mind. And when you wake up, you're feeling a little bit of that place where you're not fully awake, and you're still on the dream state. So it's a perfect time to be silent and be with yourself. And what I usually recommend at that moment is, yeah, you're going to have the thoughts coming through your mind, so you just let them pass by without really engaging them very deeply, just observing them, right? And what is there for you. And the more that you go deep into that, the more that you will be able to silence your mind and have less of those thoughts. So at first can be a little bit more, meaning that the mind and the brain could play some games with you, where it actually want to comes with vengeance, and it's just the monkey mind wouldn't stop. And it is about just listening to those thoughts. Let them be, let them be. You don't have to do anything with them. And little by little, they will dissipate. It's almost like a wave, like your emotions, your thoughts, your body's going to tell you something, and perhaps it's going to get a little bit more intense for a while. You're going to ride the wave with your body, and then you're going to calm down eventually, because nothing lasts forever, right? So that's a good way to start your day, or anytime that you're thinking about coming to a more mindful state. And then I also go for a walk. So for some people, that's a nice thing, instead of just sitting for a very long time. But after you sit or before you sit, go outside for a walk, get a little bit of fresh air. And there's um, definitely a lot of research that shows that the body changes their emotions the fastest with movement. So if you're feeling that, you wake up and, I don't know, I'm upset today, who knows why, right? Or I'm feeling like I really don't want to sit down at this moment, go for a walk first. Your emotional state will change, come back, and then you can do it. And then it depends, right? What do you like? Do you like to hydrate yourself in the morning? Do you like to energize yourself doing some exercise, some more uplifting exercise. During the day, it's a good idea to be checking on your thoughts again and how your body and your emotions are feeling and your energetic feel around you. I feel like all those in harmony is what is going to help you best stay more within yourself and more, again, mindful of every step that you're taking during the day and how you are, again, an interaction with others. And at the end of the day, it's a good idea to review the day. So there's this little, 5-minute ritual that you can go through, that you go through the day. Any parts of the day that you didn't quite love, well, just give forgiveness for it. What else could you have done better, right? Celebrations, things that happened that were really wonderful. And then just setting up the stage for the following day and calming yourself down before going to sleep with maybe just a few minutes of silence. I read something very cute, I thought, as a reminder for, because a lot of people ask me, how many hours should it be before I go to bed? Or how many hours should I not work or be in technology before I go to sleep? Because we know there's research that shows that definitely we can sleep deeper and achieve that deep sleep actually much faster when our body and our brain are more relaxed, and even our body and our muscles are actually on a more relaxed state. So what I do recommend for that before you go to sleep is to 1 hour before, you're going to stop technology completely. So if you're watching TV, if you're checking on your phone, just leave it to the side 1 hour before you go to sleep. Food is going to be 2 hours before you go to sleep. And then work is going to be 3 hours before you go to sleep. So that's kind of a rule of thumb on how you can get into that more soothing, relaxing state. I like to turn the lights off, or starting, to turn the lights off so everything is a little dimmer, and you can start to also think about the eyesight, not having to work as much, and starting to achieve that place of rest. So that's a whole day that we just went through. That's a whole day. And it's interesting because obviously that doesn't happen over time, right? I mean, we have families, we have children, we have pets, we have work, we have clients, we have friends. There's a lot that happens during the day. And how can you find those little moments for yourself so you are not constantly blending with others, energetically draining yourself, giving without really actually attending to your own needs, which is when you're going to be able to give the most, when you're actually more fulfilled inside. So I consider those practices very important, and something that when I'm working with people are very curious about what is it that not only I do, but what would work for them. And we figure those pieces, together.
That's fantastic. I want to discuss the practicality and how how a workplace can adopt mindfulness for their employees. But we're going to do that after the commercial break. So stay tuned, everyone.
Okay.
All right, and we're back. So let's talk about practicality and the application of mindfulness in our life, but also, if you can, integrate into it how it's a benefit to the workplace. And the next question, which you might want to just combine all of them together, is what would a workplace do to get started? So the stage is yours.
Absolutely. And I think there's so much to be said about that. I love your commercial, by the way, because it is so true. that you don't really want to attract new employees, right? But you want to keep the ones that you have and you have nurtured for a while to be healthier and happier. And work is where we spend most of the day. So if we are not happy in our work environment, forget about it, right? What else is there? So creating those environments, I think, are so important from the foundation. I feel like it's not something that takes a lot of effort if everybody can find those moments that people can gather, right? So I think, and I know companies, and one of them that I work with, where the team meets every morning just to do like a quick celebration, something that they just want to throw, into the air that happened to them, and not everybody does it, but maybe just one or two that are important to share. And just keeping that energy up, it's not even sitting in silence, but it's more like marinating in those uses of people really being joyful and happy, which is, another source of mindfulness and connection between others. So just starting with something simple like that could be really, really positive. And to certain extents, companies these days don't work all in one location, right? But we have the online resources that are so easy to use also and connect in a deep way that way. So starting with something that is more celebratory, that can keep the morale of the team high. Another thing that I think is very important and cool is to give the employees the voice to express. So one of the sentences that I like using is, and when I do my team meetings and my team retreats, with the trainers, and there's the sentence that we fill out saying, "Wouldn't it be amazing if?" And they can imagine what would they like to do. So one of my trainers at one point, she wanted to create a manual for the teacher training. I had it online, but she wanted to do a printed one, so she started creating this. And it's been a process that obviously she had to work through it, but she's been very happy to collaborating in a way that it was creative from her side, right? We get very hung up sometimes on thinking that the times that we have during the day have to perform a certain number of tasks, right? And when we are, I believe, working against the clock at times, we are much less effective and creative and efficient than when we are actually not, in a way. And trust me, I'm the first one that schedules my whole day from the beginning to the end. I schedule my meditations, my walks, my classes, my clients, my preparations, my marketing, my financial times, wherever it is on my calendar. If it's not that, it's not going to happen. I believe that a structure gives me freedom. But what I mean with that is that if I am feeling like I need a moment to receive some guidance through something that I'm doing in that particular way, in that particular moment, you can take that break to sit outside for a minute, perhaps just take some deep breaths and let the inspiration flow, as opposed to very continuously going without stopping. Because that moment that you're taking that break is going to bring you more inspiration. And we all know that, right? We're stuck writing a newsletter. We're there in the computer trying to break our brains to do something.
Exactly. Go for a walk, clear your head.
Go for a walk. Exactly. So that's mindfulness, right? It's this awareness of your body, of, gosh, this is not moving. I'm in a block. There's this resistance. Let me break through this in a different way.
Yeah.
So as I was saying before, right, the practicality of mindfulness is being very, sometimes I don't like to say connected with your body, because when you say that to people, it can be a big word, and a lot of people don't have that connection. But just resistance. So think about resistance coming to you, pieces that don't feel comfortable in your body, and how do you work with them? Do you push them away, or do you try to listen to them and what message they are telling you? Because usually that is the time that you want to do something different at the moment. So coming back to your question about being very practical, because again, I'm also a structured person. So I would do that with employees, having a moment in the morning where they are just celebrating. Having the freedom to be able to take breaks like those, where there's a place where they can actually chill and relax. Maybe there's a meditation room, maybe there's a meditation garden, it's labyrinths, ideas like this that if it's in person, people could enjoy. There could be an online call during the day that is like a dance break, just a movement break. I've been doing that with my partner lately, my retreat partner lately. And we stop in the middle of the day and we just stop dancing for 5 minutes, and your body just feels definitely different afterwards and much more motivated. So I think things like that would be good. setting up this woman that I follow from networking group, and she talks about when she leaves the office, everybody leaves with her, no one stays. So just having those really times when you say enough is enough, tomorrow you will continue, or if you want to go home with it, fine, but not again overextending yourself or grinding yourself, because grinding doesn't really help us to do well what we really need to do. So that would be my advice and suggestions for employees.
So as you're talking about these things, it occurs to me the employer doesn't even have to use the word mindfulness in adopting some of these approaches, because that can be a scary word. Some people will think, oh, that's hoodoo voodoo type stuff, we don't want to go down there.
Okay.
Instead, it's the practices that the employer can be implementing. It's becomes part of the culture without ever having to say we are a company that embraces mindfulness. Sure, you can say that if that's what you want, but if you don't want to be saying that, it's just you're implementing these practices into the culture of we honor celebrating, we honor taking time, we honor going for a walk, we honor having a quiet room that you can escape to and just get away from the noise that's at your desk. So that's
Exactly, and Denise, that's why I call it mind, body, and spiritual fitness. That's kind of a description of that, because it is about harmonizing. We humans are very fun, complicated beings, and I believe that is the mind, the body, and the energy that surround us, which some people call their spirit, but it's really energetics of it, right? That really makes us be the best of everything that we can be when all those places are in harmony. So it's just paying attention to those three. I believe mindfulness kind of wraps everything really nicely, and it becomes an integration of what the body can do, and then it's obviously our vessel of energy, and what the mind wants us to do, which is something that I believe we want to master it and be our servant instead of us being its servant, right? And then the energy around us. Or again, if you believe in something higher of yourself, the God of your understanding, that is it. That is energetically how you present yourself in the world. So I think it's harmonizing those three that becomes mindfulness. And yeah, as you said, sometimes it can become a little woo, especially as playing, in those terms. And in reality, there is a part of it that I think is important to point out, right? Because sometimes when we forget also about, again, the why we do it, and it might be different for everybody, but it's important to have that ending in mind, because I think it's what is going to make the practicality and the habits and the rituals stay and sustain.
yeah. And once you have those habits and rituals, I mean, I've practiced mindfulness in the line at the grocery store
Yes, exactly.
or in traffic or something, because it's like, okay, let's get centered. Let's work on the breath a little bit. Let's focus on the here and now, be present. Yeah, you can do it anywhere.
It's what I was saying before. It's about bringing that to be how you live. It's
Yeah.
not about doing it and letting it go. Okay, I do a little mindfulness here, and then I come back to my own like angry, frustrated over oneself. That's not why we do it. We do this so you can actually be fulfilled, happy, and energized, even when you're doing the tasks that you like the less. It's very interesting. Is a very interesting way of being, I believe, new way of being, when you actually can integrate all that in your life through practice. And
Yeah.
yes, I believe it takes a little time. I mean, definitely, I started meditating, as I was saying before, 20 years ago. I think I shared that with you, but really more than 20 years, actually 23 now. But really noticing and making it a commitment, making it a priority in my life 5-6 years ago. And it's when everything just really started shifting. So it does take time, and it takes a little bit of turn here and there. Sometimes things get a little harder before they get better. And that's why we do have coaches and mentors, right, that can also help us go through those times, and be able to come to the other side stronger. Because sometimes mindfulness, and I think that's the piece that most people sometimes can be a little scared about, right? It's like, what am I going to find there? Like, what is it going to show me? And
Yeah. And I was one of those. I didn't want to deal with any of these strange practices back when I classified myself as corporate USA. I just stayed away from it. And what I found is that I only dealt with that which I was ready to deal with. It's not
Right.
exactly like the doors open and suddenly here's all the garbage of stuff in your life that you suddenly have to deal with. No, I just changed me and my perception and how I deal with people. And even to the point of social media, I was on social media over the weekend on this new Threads that's out there. That hey, if you guys are on Threads, come find me. I'd love to follow it back. But I had somebody who it was a heated. He had said something and I had responded and he had misread what I had said and he got really heated back at me. And I'm not going to engage in battles, but I decided to see if I could utilize some of the tools that I have,
Mhm.
turn the situation around. And he was pretty hot under the collar and accusing me of things that just because he could. And by the end of the conversation, it had turned around and he's like, "Oh, I really like Denver where I live. And is such and such a place still there? And I just love doing this." So utilizing these tools of being centered, being kind, breathing through it. I didn't react. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to get at. I didn't react. I was able to be proactive and change the entire tone of the conversation. So these principles really do work.
Yeah, and to that point, if I kind of speak for a minute about there's this book and practices that I've been following for a while now that are really powerful, and the book is called The Heart Math, and it talks about how when your heart, have you heard about this
Oh,
program?
yeah. We talked about it last week, as a matter of fact.
Right. And that those are great. I teach those tools because I consider them to be so powerful. It's like you're shifting your point of view, among
Yeah.
certain decisions or experiences in your life from your head to your heart. And the more compassion, the more love, that you are finding there, the better you're actually going to be guided in situations like those where, in the past, you might have been like, I'm the first one that used to write these nasty emails. And then I will say, what what did I just do responding to this person? I mean, I remember in my 20s, it was just a very reactive, sort of experience until I started thinking, do I really need this? Is that my ego that just need it, or is it really myself? And then, like you well said, you start responding in a very different way. And I believe it all comes from the heart. And if you read this book, and just for people in case they don't know about it, right? It's about the cohesiveness of the heart. The more that your heart is in coherence, then the more the rest of the organs of your body will follow. So your whole system will be. And it's not just about emotions or feelings or reactions. As a health coach, I think this is super positive too, because then the health of your heart and all the organs of your body is going to help you prevent disease. It's going to help you live longer, healthier. So it just has a lot more of the benefits that I think we are looking for, when we do this, to have a longer, healthier, happier life. So that's really, really powerful. Yeah, and those are some of the practices that I recommend. I do with my clients in my groups, in my retreats, even privately at times. And it's changed people's life to just have that
Yeah.
awareness.
And we're showing now how people can get a hold of you. Okay, folks, that is a lot of letters right there. And I know that there's no link that you can download from here, but I assure you, if you are looking, wherever you have found this video, if it's particularly on YouTube, it will be there as well. But if you need to take a screenshot of it, take a screenshot. Now's your opportunity. And we'll leave it up for just another minute or two. Anna, this has been a great talk. Now, I'm sure that there are some things that you were thinking about before we got on this event that you wanted to talk about that we haven't discussed. Is there anything that's on your list that we wanted to make sure that we cover?
Good question. Let me see what I have here. I actually, one of the things that we have talked about, because it's the summer, right? And is the title of your show actually. It's about taking a vacation, right? Without actually going
Yeah.
anywhere. And we talked about how it's true that when you are connected within yourself, it's like taking a vacation from the world, because you just find that peace and quiet, right? That you don't really need to go anywhere. And I was also sharing with you, I'm here at this farm where it's just beautiful. And of course, sometimes it's good to get away so you can actually find those spaces that will give you even more peace and quiet. But the point with that, and I think the importance of it, is to think about life in a way that you know how you, and I remember my days where I used to work and work and work. Although I have to say, I'm very lucky. I've always loved what I do. So I have not been looking forward to Fridays like most people do. But I do have a lot of friends, right? That the Monday to Friday is like a blur, and it's just working, 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 getting to Friday to actually go. And, I don't have as many party I was younger, but that was what it was, right? You will go off Friday and then Saturday and Sunday relax, Monday back. And there was this moment of like, we take a break here and then we come back to what we are not so happy doing. And I feel like the more that you consider your life, a vacation in itself, from the stress, from the overwhelm, from the um, even traumas, that can bring you, the happier you're going to be through it, not needing those extra breaks, those extra times. So for companies and employees, this is the best kept secret, right? Because if you can keep your employees happy, feeling, marinating in those senses, in those experiences of living life as it was a vacation, um, it would be a very different story. People will be very, very happy in that way. So I think that's important to point, and it takes a minute. It takes the practice. Sometimes we might not like it, like you said, right? You want to take your back. I would love to, anybody that is here listening, I don't know if we have any live people, but definitely on the recording. If you would like to continue the conversation, know that I'm available on that link that Denise put there, and you can schedule a chat with me. I love to always receive feedback. And if there's anything here that you feel that you could use the help with, let's talk about it, right? And continue discussing what would be the best things for you to just find that happiness and mindfulness, right? And yeah, I'm happy that you created this show and that you created this humanistic show, because I believe that, talking about mindfulness, human beings, that's what we are called, but we become human doers. So it's very fun when we can be human beings and practice that more often and have that awareness more. So thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for being on the show. I'm going to move you into the back room for just a moment while I finish up. But thank you. This has been a wonderful exploration of what a human resource professional can put into place immediately in the workplace to change the culture with lasting changes over time. So thank you very much for doing that. So, and I cut her off. Sorry, guys. Thank you all for watching and being a part of this community that we're building. We're getting a lot of traction outside of what you're seeing in terms of people reaching out who want to be a part of this and want to help support the workplace and the human resource professionals, the people who are in charge of the people at the companies. And we've got some great programs coming up for the rest of this year and well into next year as well. But we want to be here to address the issues that you have. So by all means, wherever you have seen this video, if you're a part of us today, or if you're just watching the recording, let us know what it is that can best support you so that we can bring the experts to the table in all areas of workplace, from communications to the interpersonal dynamics to and whatever it is that's happening right now in your world. That's what we're here to do and help support you. And by all means, if there's anything else that we can do to assist you, reach out to us, because You Define Wellness is here to serve. Go to our website at youdefinewellness.com. That's YOU, definewellness.com. There you're going to find a plethora of information as well as a resources page based upon this episode. So we hope to see you again next week. Join us every Tuesday. That's what we're here for. Have a great one.